Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Okay, if everybody could find a seat, we'll get this thing going. All right, let's get this started. I'm calling the meeting to order. Hello. All right. Go from a loud rumble to a low rumble. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm going to point out something weird before I get started. I only have one lens. And that's because I had cataract surgery. It's not because I, forgot my lens or fell out or something. So I just want to point that out because I need them for reading, even though my left eye, I can see all the way back to Mark Sherman. Okay, so with that, I want to get us started. This is welcome and thank you for coming to the CNS 2026, our 157th annual meeting. I think I've been to all of them, actually. So, maybe. Anyway, so the first thing I want to say is this is, thank you for that, thank you. This is an incredible, wonderful community, and we appreciate each other. I appreciate that we are with each other through good times and through challenging times, and Jennifer and I and our family have been part of this community for 26 years now. And so I thank you for letting us be a big part of the community, and thank you again for being here and being part of our community. So we have a really pretty significant, I'll get to that picture later. It's got a story, and it's a pretty interesting story, so I'll get to that later. It's a teaser to make sure you stay for the whole meeting, although I think you were going to anyway. We do have a very sort of robust agenda that we're going to be trying to cover here tonight. And there it is. So after I'm up, you're going to hear from Marissa about our financial challenges and also other things related to our balance sheet, et cetera. So I think that's an important piece. And then we'll go into Marlene's report as well as Rabbi's and the election of officers. Did I skip anything? No. Where's the bylaws? That comes in a little bit later. We have some revisions to the bylaws that we're going to be reviewing. It's part of our governance piece tonight. And then, yes, their proposed bylaw amendments and the blessing for the volunteers. I do want to, reiterate, this is the annual meeting. We do a lot of business during the annual meeting, but it's also a recognition of our incredible volunteers. And so that's a really central piece of this, of why we're here. And so let's not forget that. So, blessing for the volunteers, my remarks. My remarks will be immediately followed by some more call out of some of the great volunteers. And then we'll have other business. We'll be, at that point, you'll have an opportunity to interject and ask questions and comments and provide whatever other new business we have. And then we'll adjourn and we'll enjoy the dessert and celebrate the volunteers. And with that, I will turn it over to Marissa for the Treasurer's report.
Hello, I'm Marissa Richardson, and I'm the Treasurer. We can go to the next slide. I wanted to talk about our financial position and our budget. So I I thought it was important, I think you guys all have this in your handouts, but to show our statement of financial position or balance sheet for those who are in the finance field. So we have a really strong financial position at this time. We have $15 million in net assets. That includes our building, that includes our endowment, tribute fund balances, and other cash. We also have healthy reserves of more than $675,000, but most of that is restricted. So one thing I did want to mention, so our endowment fund is $4.7 million. It's kind of towards the bottom. You can see that number. We take 5% of that and we add it to our budget in various places. Most of it is restricted. A synagogue of our size should have $30 million endowment. And so what I'm going to show you next is going to be the result of us not having that. And yeah, perfect. So before I kind of go into some of the detail here, I just wanted to say that our country has been through a lot, and costs are going up, wages are covering less and less every year, and there have been thousands of layoffs in Oregon, and I know all of us have been affected in one way or another by the current financial climate in this country, and affordability has become a major crisis. And as a result, as it has affected us, it has also affected our budget at Neve Shalom. So this year, we budgeted a $15,000 deficit, and we're ending on a $240,000 deficit. The way that we got here is due to foundation school declining enrollment. Our dues have been flat, and in most cases for the last 3 or 4 years, overestimated. Our utility costs are through the roof, even far and away beyond what we've been able to conservatively forecast. And medical insurance costs for our employees have gone far beyond what we thought was a crazy estimate last year. And you'll notice we're forecasting for next year's budget that's been approved by the board and Finance Committee. We're also forecasting about a $247,000 budget. And we have the same oh, so I'm so sorry, deficit. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I don't speak in front of people a lot, so please bear with me. And so we have the same pain points there. You know, creating a budget is a really long process. It usually starts in January, where our staff, who are each responsible for each area of the budget, they present their dream budget, assuming like a realistic dream budget. And then there's a lot of back and forth, and eventually they come to an agreement that we can all live with, and then it goes to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee has their say, and then it goes to the board, where they hopefully approve the budget. So it goes through a ton of rewrites. I know Marlene, Ricky, me, others, all the staff have all done so much this year to get us to this point. And this is just where we are with what we have. Next slide. So I wanted to show our trajectory with expenses and income. So income is the black line, expenses are the red line. You'll see in fiscal year 2021 was COVID, so our expenses were really low. No one was in the building. There was a lot of expenses that we just didn't have. We also received COVID funds, the PPP loan, both in 2021 and I believe also in 21-22. From the federal government to help pay our employees when we weren't necessarily receiving as much income in those years. So you can see there's a pretty big disparity. Expenses are under income, which is what we always would love to see. And then in 22-23, going into 23-24 is when our expenses exceeded our revenues. And for all 4 of those years, that expense line is above the revenue line. We had about a $200,000 to $250,000 deficit in all 4 of these years. So we are now having a deficit of $800,000 to $1 million over a 4-year period. You know, like I said before, our biggest categories that kind of mostly drive this line, there's obviously other smaller things, but our biggest categories in revenue are our dues, fundraising, foundation school, and Aliyah. And our biggest expenses are utilities, staff salaries, staff benefits, and security. And so, as I explained before, our expenses have really started to exceed the revenue. Utility costs are up, salaries are up, benefits cost even more than ever, and our security, as we all are aware, in especially a post-October 7th world, have gone through the roof. So I just wanted to show you that if we're continuing on this trajectory, we're going to continue to have very large deficit budgets. Next slide. So what is our plan? We have some short-term and long-term strategies that we want to implement, some of which we've already kind of put into motion, and the others will just come as we're able to get there. So first one, right-sizing personnel costs and benefits. We've made some changes to our medical benefits, which run on a calendar year, whereas our budget, our year is a fiscal year, which starts on July 1st. And so we have to estimate, hopefully well enough, which this year we didn't quite get there, what our costs will be 6 months from now, because we have no idea what our medical plans will look like. So we are trying to, Ricky is amazing at picking medical plans that still balance the cost versus what you get, and and all of that. We've also made changes to our retirement plan, our retirement contributions to employees in order to lower our deficit, to bring them in line with other nonprofits in the area. And then expanding our development and fundraising strategy. We have something called tribute funds, which I believe I mentioned before, that was on the statement of financial position that you guys all have in front of you. I think we have about $1 million and they're all restricted funds that go for a very specific purpose. That is a great way to donate to help us, because a lot of those feed into our budget. And so if you have a special interest and you want to make a donation, you can always put it there and it can be used for that purpose. We're also working on a life and legacy campaign, and then, let's see, streamlining financial assistance. We give over $700,000 in tuition reduction and financial assistance towards dues. Frankly, we can't do as much as we have been because, as you see, we had a $240,000 deficit for the last 4 years. One interesting stat, we did a bunch of research on, like, how much are people really paying? More than half of our congregation has reduced dues. Less than half of the congregation is paying the dues that you see on our website, or that when you renew your membership every year. We simply can't afford to continue to be as overly generous as we have, and we need everyone to kind of help pay their share. And so that was just a really shocking stat that I wanted to share with you guys. Next slide. So for our long-term goals in building continuing and growing our financial strength, we're working on sustainability and preventative maintenance improvements. There's currently a solar panel project that we're working on in order to reduce our electric bill, which has been absolutely insane. And and working on other ways that we can save our water consumption, because I think all of us that live in the city of Portland have seen all of our bills just skyrocket this year. We also have an aging building. It costs a lot of money to keep all of this up. You know, we're gonna need a new roof soon that is not cheap, and you can imagine how much square footage we have and how much that might cost. We're looking at grants and funding for vision and values aligned programs, which solar panels kind of fit in there too, and we have some other ideas that we're currently working. And then finally, legacy planning, legacy plan giving and donor stewardship. I already mentioned the life and legacy. If you guys have wills, you all should have wills. We all need to have wills. Please think of us, adding us to your will, and so then we can continue to thrive after you don't need your money anymore. And then, so for my final thoughts, all budgets outline our priorities and estimates. And so just because we have a $247,000 deficit right now going into the fiscal year doesn't mean that we're going to stay at a $247,000 deficit throughout the whole year. I know Marlene, Ricky, and I, and so many others have been doing a lot of work to try to find ways that we can save money or create, more revenue and balance that out. One interesting stat that I found today when I was just doing math, because I'm a nerdy accountant like that, if every person paid $300 more per year, every single family unit paid $300 a year, our deficit would go away completely. So just thought I'd leave you with that. And I think that's all of my slides. Yes, that's it. Okay, thank you. I don't know who's next. Oh, and Marlene is next with the executive director's report.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I know that my dear treasurer was a little nervous, and I just want to make one correction that I think is a really important correction to make. And while we did see on our balance sheet that there is $4 million in endowment, I will tell you that more than half of that belongs to the cemetery endowment, and that is a separate budget, which does not draw onto our operating budget. So I think that's just something very important to note. Otherwise, I think Marissa did an awesome job, so thank you. As we gather for an annual congregational meeting, I want to speak with you honestly about where we are, the challenges we face, and the strength that continues to carry us forward. Like so many institutions, our financial health is closely tied to the broader economy. Many in our community are feeling the strain of rising costs, and we see a growing number of individuals and families who want to belong while also needing support to make that possible. At the same time, the cost of serving our community continues to rise. Maintaining our buildings, some of which have not received the care they require over many years, has become more urgent and more expensive. We're working to meet these needs with the lean professional staff and a shrinking pool of volunteers. Even as fewer members are stepping into the leadership roles, which is something really important to hear, lesser people are choosing to step up and lead. We're also navigating, fewer, lesser people, thank you. You know what, we're all tired and have been overworked here. Sorry. We're also navigating significant demographic shifts. Oregon's declining birth rate and changing housing patterns are reshaping our congregation. Fewer young families are moving into our neighborhoods, and this is directly impacting areas that we once relied on, including our preschool. We are seeing a necessary right-sizing of our foundation school and an overall shift in the rhythms of our congregational life. I want to speak clearly and directly about the budget we're presenting this year, and I'll use better language. We are projecting an operating deficit in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. That reality deserves clarity, context, and honesty. This is a deficit budget, but more importantly, It's a transitional budget. It reflects necessary recalibration as we align our financial model with today's realities and not yesterday's assumptions. These changes are not temporary. They represent a new operating environment. Economic pressures are limiting how much we can reasonably ask of our members and dues, even as more people are turning to us for financial assistance. At the same time, we're facing long-deferred maintenance needs in our facilities, along with the essential and growing cost of security, which is now a baseline requirement for protecting our community. But it is critically important to understand this. The deficit is not the result of inaction. We've already taken meaningful and at times difficult steps to mitigate what would have been a larger shortfall. These actions include implementing significant staffing and administrative restructuring within the foundation school, reducing financial aid expenditures by over $150,000 while still prioritizing accessibility, introducing a more rigorous and equitable financial aid evaluation process, improving tracking, transparency, and stewardship, adjusting employee retirement contributions to better align with financial realities, eliminating professional positions and making careful decisions to reduce personnel costs while still preserving core functions. We have made concessions across multiple areas of our budget: staffing, programming, and employee benefits. None of these decisions were easy. All of them carry consequences. They affect our people, they shape our programs, they redefine expectations. And they reflect something essential: a willingness to lead with responsibility, not avoidance. At the same time, these actions also highlight a very real truth. There are limits to what we can cut without compromising who we are and what we provide as a community. As we present the approved fiscal year 26-27 budget, it is also important to offer clarity about what this operating deficit does and does not mean. First, we must distinguish between our operating budget and our overall financial plan. The operating budget reflects our day-to-day activity, what we bring in and what we spend within a given fiscal year to run our programs, support our staff, and serve our community. Our financial plan, on the other hand, looks more broadly at our overall financial position, our cash flow, assets, liabilities, and reserves, and our ability to sustain operations over time. Our financial position is strong. But we should be very clear: this does not lessen the reality that we're planning to spend more than we bring in. Running an operating deficit is not sustainable, nor is it best practice for long-term financial health. It is something we must address with urgency, discipline, and collective responsibility. And yet, this is not a story of decline. It is a story of resilience. This year, we have seen a significant increase in participation in ritual life and communal engagement. From Shabbat on the Plaza to Simcha Shabbat and our new Kol Shabbat, it is clear that our community is responding to opportunities for meaningful Jewish connection. These experiences reflect our commitment to creating sacred moments and meet the diverse spiritual needs of our congregation, and attendance continues to grow. We're also seeing encouraging growth in our Machon Ivrit program. Adult learners are seeking deeper connections to Jewish identity, culture, and community. Through Hebrew language learning and Jewish education, participants are strengthening social bonds, reclaiming heritage, and enriching their Jewish journeys. Our volunteer greeter program continues to expand as members step forward to ensure that every person who enters Neve Shalom feels welcomed, seen, and embraced. These volunteers not only create a culture of hospitality, they also play an important role in supporting our layered security strategy, partnering with our professional security personnel to enhance awareness and community care. The enthusiasm and participation we experienced throughout the high holidays demonstrated the deep desire for meaningful worship, learning, and connection. Time and again, our community showed up to celebrate, reflect, and engage together. Beyond our walls, collaboration with Jewish organizations throughout Portland is stronger than ever. Our partnership with Jewish and Family Child Services Cafe Europa program has expanded opportunities for local Holocaust survivors to gather in community, while our joint senior social hour programming continues to create meaningful engagement for older adults. Israel 360 continues to grow and remain as an important forum for thoughtful and diverse conversations about Israel, providing opportunities for learning, dialogue, and understanding within our community and beyond. Our CNS food pantry has become a model for other organizations seeking to address food insecurity with dignity and compassion. Likewise, Abraham's Closet has grown into the largest durable medical equipment lending library in Portland, providing critical support to individuals and families throughout the region. What is especially remarkable is that many of these programs are led entirely by volunteers or rely heavily on volunteer engagement. Their dedication demonstrates the extraordinary capacity of our community to care for one another and transform values into action. This is how we live our mission and vision. At Neve Shalom, we create belonging. We care for those in need, we celebrate Jewish life, we build community, and together we ensure that our congregation remains not only financially sustainable, but spiritually vibrant and deeply relevant. Congregation Neve Shalom continues to be a place where people turn for connection, meaning, and belonging. Jewish families still seek a home to raise the next generation, to celebrate life's milestones, and to be part of something larger than themselves. We are still here to do the very sacred work that we do. And that work is only possible because of the people who lead, support, and sustain it together. Tonight, I want to recognize 3 essential pillars of our community: our lay leadership, our professional staff, and our volunteers. First, our lay leaders, our board of directors. They take on the responsibility of governance, vision, and accountability. They make difficult decisions, balance mission with financial reality, and guide this congregation with care and integrity. Leadership at this level is not about titles, it's about stewardship. If you are now or have ever been a member of our board of directors, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you all. Second, our professional staff. They bring our mission to life every day, teaching, supporting, organizing, maintaining, and responding in moments of joy and need. With limited resources, they can constantly go above and beyond because they believe deeply in this community. I'd like to invite our professional staff here tonight to stand and be recognized. Thank you. It's an amazing team. Before we recognize our volunteers, I want to take a moment to acknowledge another essential pillar of our community, our clergy. The work of a rabbi is unlike almost any other profession. Sacred moments do not follow a schedule, a birth, a hospitalization, a funeral, a family crisis, a pastoral need. These do not wait for office hours or choose the right day. Our clergy are called upon to be present in the moments of joy, sorrow, celebration, uncertainty, and healing. They guide us, educate us, inspire us, and hold us through life's moments and meaningful experiences. As much as our clergy nourish our souls and strengthen our community, they too require support, renewal, and care. This is the sacred and complex relationship between a congregation and its rabbis. They live and breathe the mission and values that form the very foundation of our synagogue, carrying the responsibility of spiritual leadership while remaining deeply connected to the people they serve. In a congregation the size of Neve Shalom, this sacred work cannot be sustained by one individual alone. Our diverse and vibrant community requires a clergy team that understands the many needs, interests, and life stages represented within our congregation and is available to meet people where they are. The strength of our clergy team allows us to provide meaningful worship, compassionate pastoral care, lifelong learning, and authentic relationships across generations. Their partnership with one another and with this congregation is not a luxury. It is essential to fulfilling our mission and sustaining Jewish life at Neve Shalom. Rabbi, thank you.
I want everyone to know that Rabbi Cantor Bichon is at his kid's dance recital, and Rabbi April is also at a child's recital. So don't think that they didn't want to be here. They may not want to be there either.
Yep, she took the sails out of my wind out of my sails there. Okay, and now third, our volunteers, the heartbeat of our congregation. They show up in countless ways, organize programs, serve on communities, support life cycle moments, and care for one another. They extend the reach of our staff and strengthen the connections that define who we are. Will all our volunteers here now rise and be recognized? You'll have a lot more opportunities, but thank you. It's pretty amazing that almost every person in this room just stood up. It's amazing. Each of these groups plays a distinct role, but no one can succeed alone. To be a leader in this community is to understand that we are interdependent. Lay leaders provide direction and accountability, staff bring expertise and execution, and volunteers bring energy and connection. Together, they form the foundation that sustains Jewish life here. If any one of these pillars weakens, the whole structure is affected. So I return to the central question: how do we sustain this sacred work? For the past 3 years, we have operated with a deficit while holding firmly to our value of inclusion. That commitment reflects who we are, but it also calls on us to think differently about how we support this institution and one another. The answer is not simple, but it is collective. For those who are able, we ask you to give more of your time, your wisdom, and your financial support, to step into leadership, to say yes when asked, to help carry the responsibility of sustaining this community. Because the more we scale back, the less we can offer. The more we defer, the harder it becomes to gather. And the more we turn away, the further we move from our mission. This is our Neve Shalom, our oasis of peace. It is sustained not by any one person or group, but by all of us together. Thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your commitment in this sacred work. I'm going to invite Rabbi Posen to the board. Oh. Look at those photos. I know, I love those photos.
I know we're talking about our bylaws a little bit later, but whoever set up synagogue bylaws with annual meetings in the month of June when they fall on the Torah portion of Korach had a sick sense of humor. If you know Parshat Korach, there's a revolt and the earth opens up. It's not where you want to be in this moment, but I think it very much goes to what is the intent of building a community and being a leader. And I couldn't help but think about Moses in Parshat Korach as I prepared for tonight and as I look back, because we are coming up in just a few days on the end of my first year as the senior rabbi of Congregation Neve Shalom. And when I stood before this congregation, when I was installed, I spoke about the values that I hoped would guide my rabbinate and our future together: presence, integrity, partnership, authenticity, and sustainability. As the year unfolded, those values found a home in the theme that we embrace together, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and we will listen. It's a curious phrase. At Sinai, the Israelites commit to action before they fully understand what lies ahead. They promise to show up, to engage, to participate. And only then do they listen, learn, and discover what that commitment will actually require of them. As I reflect on this year, I realize that is exactly what we have done. This has been a year of na'aseh. We showed up. We gathered for Shabbat on the plaza and watched hundreds of people fill our outdoor spaces with prayer, with laughter, with music, and with friendship. We launched our Kol Shabbat and welcomed people around tables for cohort dinners, creating new pathways for connection and belonging. We embarked on our first congregational travel experience in more than a decade and discovered that Jewish community does not end at our walls. It travels with us wherever we go. Our youth engagement grew. More children and teens found places to belong, learn, lead, and build lasting Jewish friendships. Adult learning flourished. New classes, new conversations, and new opportunities to wrestle with Jewish ideas reminded us that Torah remains alive when we continue to ask questions. Our Chevra Nichum, Comforting Friends program, launched and walked alongside 23 congregants navigating the first year after a profound loss, ensuring that no mourner had to travel that difficult road alone. Through holiday celebrations, volunteer initiatives, social justice efforts, pastoral care, and countless moments, both public and very private, we answered a need that feels increasingly rare in our world today: the need for genuine human connection. This has been a year of na'aseh, and it has also been a year of nishma, because listening is often harder than doing. This year, we listened to the grief of families saying goodbye to loved ones whose fingerprints remain throughout this congregation. We stood together at funerals and Shiva Minyanim. We comforted mourners. We shared tears and memories and stories. We were reminded once again that a synagogue is not simply a place where people gather. It is a place where people carry one another. We also listened as our congregation wrestled with difficult realities: rising security costs, increasing operational expenses, and the needs of an aging facility and aging Torahs forced us to confront hard truths about what it takes to sustain a congregation in today's world. Those realities led to difficult decisions and difficult conversations. And if there's one thing I learned from this year, it is that nishma is not only about listening to the voices we agree with. It is about listening to the people we love, to the people in our community when they are disappointed, when they are frustrated, when they are worried and when they are hurting. Some of the hardest conversations I had this year were with congregants who care deeply about Neve Shalom and who felt genuine pain over decisions that were made. Those conversations reminded me that anger is often rooted in love. People do not become passionate about things they do not value. The conversations, for instance, about our library were never really about books alone. They're about memory. We're talking about learning and legacy, belonging. These conversations are about people trying to protect something they cherish. I hope those who disagreed with the decision know this. Your love for this congregation was heard. Your commitment is clear. We are not at odds with one another. At the same time, though, our leaders were charged with caring for the larger ecosystem that makes all of this sacred work possible. The challenge before us was never choosing between things we value and things we do not value. It was choosing among the things we value most deeply when resources are limited. This is painful and this is holy work that we do. One of the things that I cherish most about Congregation Neve Shalom is that we are a congregation with a long history of navigating difficult moments together. On the way in tonight, someone shared with me that this is only the third most contentious annual meeting they've arrived at out of 157. Okay. Not every decision has been easy. Not every decision in our history has been universally embraced. Yet our strength has always come from our willingness to remain in relationship with one another, to remember that each and every one of us was created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God, and that means we treat each other with respect, with understanding, with eyes that understand we are indeed in this together. The strength of a kahila is not found in unanimous agreement. It's found in our commitment to continue listening and working even when we disagree. As I reflect on this first year as the senior rabbi, I am filled with gratitude. Gratitude for a staff that works tirelessly on behalf of this community. Gratitude for lay leaders who devote countless hours to ensuring Neve Shalom remains strong. Gratitude for volunteers who quietly and sometimes not so quietly, which is good, make things happen each and every day. Gratitude for congregants who continue to show up with ideas and questions, concerns, generosity, and love. And gratitude for the privilege of serving as your rabbi. This year has stretched me and challenged me and broken me foot even just a little. Thank you. It has reminded me, though, that leadership requires both na'aseh and nishma, the courage to act and the humility to listen. It has required me to lean deeply into the commitments I made a year ago to be present, to lead with integrity, to embrace partnership, to bring my authentic self, and to remember that sustainability includes caring for the people who care for this community, including myself. What gives me hope for the year ahead is not that our challenges will disappear. It is that I have seen who we are when challenges arise. I have seen a community that celebrates together. I have seen a community that grieves together. I have seen a community that argues passionately and still remains connected. I have seen a community that refuses to let disagreement become disconnection. Most of all, I have seen a community that understands that belonging is deeper than any single decision, program, budget, or moment. This year, I learned that Na'aseh v'nishma is not only a Jewish value, it is the story of Neve Shalom itself. We show up for one another first, and through that showing up, we discover who we are meant to become. Neve Shalom's story has always been larger than any one chapter. We are inheritors of generations who built this congregation with courage, sacrifice, vision, and faith. Now it's our turn. As we enter a new fiscal year, my hope is that we will continue to practice both halves of our theme. Na'aseh, to show up for one another. Nishma, listening with curiosity rather than assumption. Because communities do not become strong when everyone agrees. Communities become strong when people remain connected, even when they don't. May we continue to act with purpose. May we continue to listen with compassion. May we continue to learn with and from one another. And may we continue writing the next chapter of this remarkable community together. Ken Yehi Ratzon. And with that, we now turn to the election of officers and the board. I invite up Liza Milliner, Chair of the Nominating Committee.
Next year, I don't want to go after you. This is now 2 years in a row that I get set up. Right. The worst place is to go after the rabbi, but.
I think the worst place is before food, but.
Before food works as well. For those that don't know me, I'm Liza Milliner. I am chair of the nominating committee. We can go to the next slide, who's ever. So first, before we start, I want to take a moment to thank those that are leaving our board and thank them for their service. If they'd stand, Norm Chusitz, Holly Eby, and Naomi Fink. Thank you. I also want to take a moment to remember Alex Menashe, who we lost this year. His service, leadership, and dedication to our congregation continues to inspire us. May his memory be a blessing. I'd also like to thank the members of our nominating committee, Holly Eby, Wendy Kahn, Mike Cavul, and Jane O'Glasser. So if we could just take a minute to thank them. Their thoughtful work and their commitment helped us identify strong leaders for our congregation. So let's go to the next slide. So on behalf of the nominating committee, I'm pleased to present the slate of officers and directors. So for the executive committee, Mark Callinger will extend his term through the 26-27 year. Josh Winook is our president-elect and our VP of Building and Grounds. Michelle Alberts will be our VP of Education, continuing on. Elizabeth Calora will move into the VP of Development role. Mark Zeitzer will continue as our VP of Membership and Engagement. Marissa Richardson will continue as Treasurer. And Lindsay Von Koltitz will continue as Secretary. The next slide. And then the proposed board for the 26 to 29 term, Beth Milliner. She's here, okay. Aaron Schenkerman. And Aaron, sorry. And then Evan Shurik, Leah Silber, and Vicki Wilson. And then our continuing board members, Brian Eisen, sorry. Mike Kavoul, Nicole Markowitz, David Rubin, Stephen Kahn, and Molly O'Glasser. And as noted, I've agreed to extend my term through this year, so I will be on for one more year. So at this time, I move that the congregation approves the proposed 26-27 Executive Committee and Board of Directors. Do I have a second? I have a second. And then all those in favor of approving the board as presented, raise your hand. I am not the counter. Yeah. We have counters in the back, so just keep your hands up.
Keep your hands up, I'm trying to count.
Keep waving, Raul. It's all good. Okay. All those opposed? And any abstentions? Okay. So it passes. Thank you very much. And welcome to the board. Next up is Lindy Von Koltitz and Beth Milliner.
Oh, I love that picture. I'm Lindsay Von Koltitz. When I was asked to be board secretary, I was told I would not have to speak, and here we are. So after following this particular group, I'm also a little nervous. But I may be new to a few of you. I've been a member here for almost 10 years. I remember being very pregnant in the parking lot and meeting Rabbi Posen, who was also very pregnant. And we made the decision to be here. And yeah, we were reflecting last night, and I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, wow, we've been members for almost 10 years, like next month. So when I joined the board, one of the requirements that was brought to the table is that you had to join a committee. And that's a relatively new change as a requirement. And I was really fortunate to talk to Benno Glasser and to join the governance committee. So I'm also the chair of our governance committee. And one of the things that we were tasked with this year was updating our bylaws. It's been 5 years. And I don't know about you, but the scope of my life and who I am in the last 5 years and how my world has changed is pretty significant. And the bylaws reflect that. What we had in 2021 is not reflective of who we are now. And we talked to professional staff, we talked to lay leaders, both current and past, we talked to congregants, we talked to committee members, we talked to committee chairs. And what we were told is a couple things. With an update to our bylaws, we needed to make them clearer, more flexible, and better aligned with how we actually operate as a community. And that's what we're putting forward today. Beth Milner was gracious enough to join the governance committee last year, and she immediately jumped into the bylaws task force changes, and she's going to present to you the actual changes. The one thing I do want to point out, did we miss things? Absolutely. I have a list going already. If you saw something you'd like us to take up, please let me know. I would love to talk to you about the bylaws. I would love to talk to you about, I don't say, the work that we're doing and the impact that we're having on the governance committee is remarkable, and I'd love to talk to people about it. And I say that genuinely because I talked to a lot of people today. And so please know that if something was missing, we will address it, and I would love to hear if you saw something. If you want to be on the committee 18 months from now, let's do it. Just let me know. So I'm going to turn it over to Beth, and she's going to tell you more about it.
Awesome, thank you, Lindsay. All right, so yes, it has been a delight working with you and being a part of the governance committee. I'm one of those nerds that likes compliance and governance and things having rules and being buttoned up, and yeah. So that's why there's no conflict with Liza and I still her continuing, because we do not agree on very much. It has been my absolute pleasure to be a member of this congregation since 2004. That's been a long time, and it has definitely brought some very great things into my life. I've also been fortunate enough this is my second stint with the bylaws. So I was a part of the 2019 to 2021, because it took us a really long time with COVID in there, to make the updates to the bylaws. So I was a part of that back then with Fred and Jason and some other cool folks. But obviously since then, as Lindsay pointed out, we've obviously grown and continued to change and shift. So recognizing this, we formed a subcommittee of the governance committee and undertook the review of the bylaws to make the updates that I'm going to outline for us. So with Article 1, the name, history, purpose, and affiliation, we've updated our mission statement. Our mission statement was outdated. We have a brand new, fresh, lemony, fresh one from having Marlene in place. So we put in the new mission statement that ensures alignment between our purpose and our actions and helps us clearly communicate who we are. With Article 2, membership, benefits, and privileges, we simplified the membership categories from 5 to 2 core types. So now we just have family and individual. This eliminates the complexity and aligns our bylaws and how membership actually functions in practice. We were actually kind of going against our bylaws with a lot of the allowances and things that we had actually happening from the professional staff. So while we're still supporting subgroups like the more mature population, students, honorary members, the result is clearer, more accessible, and supports the reality that our executive director and staff support on a daily basis. Article 3, fiscal year dues and financial commitments. Dues adjustments will now be determined by the executive director in consultation with the board designated group. So that's now clearly defined within the bylaws. This introduces balanced oversight while preserving confidentiality, thus strengthening trust in how financial decisions are made. And obviously we've seen how that impacts our budget, our deficit, all those different intricacies. So that will directly support having the power behind that. Checks and balances, there you Congregational meetings, as part of our clearer membership categories, voting eligibility is now more straightforward. This supports transparency and confidence in congregational decision-making. So we clarified some language, cleaned that up, and had that be more in line with allowing proxy, all the different types of things that we've navigated over the last several years. The Board of Directors reduced the minimum number of board meetings from 8 to 6 annually. That provides flexibility while continuing to maintain oversight. Also introduced the ability to approve actions electronically between meetings to ensure timely response when it's warranted. So obviously we know that there's not we can't always come together. So together those changes improve efficiency, responsiveness, and the ever-changing dynamics of our life and the ways of society. So with officers, the officer terms remain 2 years, but are now extended to go up to 6 consecutive years when continuity is beneficial. As we saw with Mark continuing his presidency, Liza extending her support of those pieces. This was a time period where we didn't necessarily have the luxury of having the pipeline. So with the executive committee, we streamlined governance by eliminating the personnel committee and consolidating responsibilities into the executive committee. This simplified accountability, it reduced redundancy, and strengthens leadership focus. I think there were a lot of meetings that were the same people, or a couple people had to step out, so it just makes it much more efficient. With committees, we reduced the number of specific committees defined in the bylaws and shifted flexibility to board policy. Standing committees remain as the finance and budget, governance and leadership, and financial development. Those are the only committees that are formally listed within the bylaws. That certainly doesn't mean that that's all the committees we have. We know we have a menagerie of other committees, but it ensures adaptability and the ongoing accountability that we have for those primary committees, and establishes that the charters will be reviewed every 3 years. And apologies if am I good?
We're actually celebrating you.
Okay, good. Whew. All right. In closing, these updates are more than structure. They are about stewardship. They give us clearer processes and greater flexibility to respond to the need of our lovely congregation today and into the future. Most importantly, they position us to operate with intention, transparency, and confidence as we continue to grow and serve our community. I want to recognize the governance subcommittee, task force, you know who you are, for all your thoughtful and diligent work in bringing these updates forward and helping champion those. So thank you for your time and engagement. And I think now we want to kind of open it up for discussion. Yes. Yes. We had a copy of the bylaws, right? Or we had, we didn't get those? Yes, oh, sorry, she was asking if I could read the mission statement. See, there's one of my subcommittee, like my task force coming through. All right. Let's see here.
So just real quick, this is the mission statement and the value statement that came from the long-range plan that was put together in 2021 with significant input from the congregation. This is not new to us. We've been doing this for about 5 years. Okay, so for clarity purposes, and this is a question that came up today, is this mission statement is from the long-range plan in 2021 that was put forward with a great, about 18 months of community involvement. I know because my husband was a co-chair, it was a lot. And this is, because the bylaws were approved before the LRP was approved, we're just aligning them correctly now.
Yep.
There you go.
Perfect,
Getting
thank
anywhere.
you.
Yep.
I wasn't aware it was that close of a timing either, so there you go. All right, so Article 1, Section 3, the mission of the congregation shall be to foster and preserve an inclusive, authentic, and engaging experience for conservative Judaism in the Pacific Northwest. Through meaningful life cycle events, spiritual education, and social experiences, we become our best selves, strengthen connections to each other, and forge positive change in the world. You're very welcome. Other questions? Yeah.
Maybe I missed it, but I'm wondering, have the actual bylaws as revised been circulated to the members that were being asked to vote on?
All the changes were, and they correlate, so it said.
So the bylaws were circulated, they were made available. We provided a summary to the congregation in an email that went out 30 days ago. I can say confidently, I've heard from 3 people. And everyone I heard from, I gave them the original bylaws, I gave them the summary, and I gave them the draft of the proposed bylaws. And I've been answering any questions that came up, which were few. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, but I have to say, I think we should have a copy of the bylaws to read. One of the things that concerns me is that it says there's a new provision that allows the board to approve actions electronically or in writing between meetings, as long as a majority of the board votes and the action is recorded in the next meeting's minutes. This enables quicker response to time-sensitive matters. Well, I think, as you probably know, there's been an issue because there was a board meeting on Tuesday.
So hold on a second, we're talking about 2 different things.
Well, just
Okay.
now.
Sure, okay.
But there was a board meeting on Tuesday that we were not informed of ahead of time. And how does this fit into that? Because it seems to me we're entitled to have notice of board meetings so we can attend if we wish to do so. And I think it's particularly important because, as you'll hear later on, some people are quite upset and feel that things have not been transparent.
Absolutely.
This is an issue of transparency.
So this is, what we're speaking about specifically is a motion without a meeting. And they are a common practice among nonprofits, for-profits. This is a standard operating procedure. There are decisions that often have to be made between approval, or between meetings where we need quick action. For example, I needed to, did you want to?
Yeah, for example, if we have to fix a leak that's coming in the roof and the executive director is not allowed to spend more than $1,000 outside the budget, we need to answer that quickly so that we don't wait a month with a leak coming down the roof. Those are the questions that take place in between time.
And so what we're clarifying is what the current standard is right now is to be able to pass that motion, we need a unanimous vote. What we're moving to is simply a majority vote so that we can move quickly on those actions. And to be clear, those motions without a meeting are then documented in the next meeting minutes. So if we had something happen in August, we would document it in September. Yeah.
I wasn't clear maybe
Sure.
when I left. What standing committees from the board were eliminated this time? You said
Nothing was eliminated, so nothing's been eliminated. We have, all of our committees that exist, still exist. The only standing committees we're putting forward from moving forward are development. Oh, sorry, yeah, development, finance, and governance. Because what we ultimately need to do as an organization is we need to raise money, decide how we're gonna spend it, and govern ourselves. Yeah, sure. Sure.
And that is that I think a synagogue is different than a corporation.
Sure.
And different than a secular nonprofit, in that its standing committee should reflect also its mission as a religious organization. And so I am, as a relatively new member, disappointed to see that there aren't certain standing committees that represent the values of a synagogue.
I'm curious what you think we're missing.
Repeat.
I was curious what she thought was missing from, oh, repeat her question. So she was disappointed to see because we are a synagogue and we are different than other organizations, that the standing committees should reflect who we are. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, there is no standing ritual committee, there is no standing social action committee, et cetera, that I think it behooves us to consider the way in which those are incorporated into our organizational, into our, the structure of our organization, because we are not a corporation or not an
Sure.
organization like any other. And so I'm just expressing
Yeah.
disappointment that when those committees are not standing committees, a board, and it could be any board,
Yeah.
feels less of an obligation to make sure that those are robust parts of the as robust parts of the organization as any other structural or financial committee.
So I want to address specifically the ritual one. That one does exist under Rabbi, and who I've now lost in the room, and she's gone. And that does exist under Rabbi, so that is under her purview. That didn't go away. It's just under, it's because it's not a volunteer, it's a volunteer-led organization, but it lives under her, oops, sorry. And then I do hear you. I think once upon a time, social justice did live on our standing committees, no?
Oh, standing, yes.
Yeah, it
committee,
did live on a standing committee, and
Education, I think.
so one of the things that's really important about this, and this is where it comes into play, is we had education listed on our standing committees in this required committees for about 5 years and didn't actually have that committee. What we heard from our chairs is they needed more flexibility with their committees because they keep changing. Building and grounds would be a good example. It keeps evolving. It's been safety and security. They've rolled it under safety and security. It gives them more flexibility to reflect who they are. We heard from our chairs how much more flexibility they needed because of how quickly things are changing. And that was ultimately what happened. It isn't that they don't exist, because they do. And they often meet regularly and are deeply engaged. We're giving them the opportunity for that. Is there anything I missed there? Okay.
No,
Sorry,
I think,
totally
yeah.
hijacked. Sure, yeah.
And that is, you said those were volunteer-led committees. Are the three standing committees that are still extant, are those professional-led committees?
They're all volunteer-led committees. They are all staffed by professionals. I'm used to different worlds, and I use the language of volunteer-led. Totally, I get it. Sure. And it does still exist. It's just moved under Rabbi.
There's a difference between a standing committee by bylaws
Yep.
and a committee that just exists on the list.
Yeah. And this is something that maybe we should take up again at the next revision, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on, I found the mic. Found the microphone. Found it.
She's been doing. I'm like, where'd she go?
It's on, you just still have to be loud.
Does it?
This is the other problem we have, is our microphones are.
You know what, we can invite them up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I bet I could have been heard from back there. However, I want to just underscore the importance of what Anna and Daryl just said about re-looking at whether some of those committees that are not standing committees in the bylaws, whether they should become standing committees in the bylaws. But I wanted to raise a question about Article 2, membership. Membership categories have been simplified from 5 levels down to 2.
with the reason given that this gives staff more flexibility to support the real-world range of member needs. I don't understand what that means, so I'd like an explanation of that. From my reading of the bylaws, the honorary associate, I don't know what senior memberships are. Honorary and associate, I believe, were memberships that were available to people who no longer live in the area or people who have memberships in other synagogues. And my understanding was that there was some kind of reduced fees for that. So I understand that those have been abolished, and the only people who will be able to vote are the family and individual membership. And I'd like to have that clarified. And I have one final question, the third. What in Article 5, this is related, 5, Section 4, Part C, what other levels of membership granted under Article 2, Section 3, who shall have no vote, is being referred to if there are only 2 forms of membership? So, 3 questions. Thank you.
Certainly. So actually, there's only 2 categories of membership. There aren't 2 forms of membership. All the other membership names remain, but they all live in one of 2 places. They are either a family membership and or a single membership. So the reason that we made this change was so that we weren't confined to a certain membership experience. There are right now many synagogues, us included in our membership and engagement committee, that are looking at other membership models. How do we continue to remain a synagogue where 40% of our budget is covered by dues, and yet only 400 people are really paying dues? So there are some that are looking at give as you can models. There are some that are looking at a variety of different membership models. But the categories, no matter what we put underneath them, are still simply a single membership or a family membership. So all the others continue to exist as you just received your renewal paperwork in the yesterday or today. Okay, does that help? It allows us to be able to make changes within those categories as new experiences and new opportunities in membership experience. Yeah.
Okay. So is that what supporting real-world range of member needs means? I still don't really understand what that means.
Yes, that's what it means. The reality is, as we're finding more and more people want to belong and less people are able to contribute at a level at which allows us to be sustainable, that we are looking at a real world as opposed to just choosing arbitrary numbers or categories that we're saying people need to fall into.
Okay. I mean, as a former college professor, I'm very familiar with tuition and the tuition that's actually paid.
Correct.
So I think I see.
She was saying she recognizes that even from a college background, there's tuition and then there's the amount that people pay, which is what we have. We have categories, $1 membership categories that we suggest, and then we know that is not necessarily a number that people pay.
Okay, so in terms of eligibility to vote, Article 5, Section 4, Part C, other levels of membership granted under Article 2, Section 3 shall have no vote. What does that mean?
Okay, so that again wasn't a change, it was a clarity. Currently, there is a level of membership called an associate membership, which says you belong to another synagogue but want to have a connection to Neve Shalom. So you're not a full member with the benefits that come with membership. And voting is one of the membership benefits that you get when you are a full member.
Anybody else? Can we take a vote?
Yeah.
Under membership categories have been reduced and simplified from 5 disparate levels to 2 main member categories, family and individual. You said that there are non-voting member categories, and in fact there are 3 non-voting member categories in the bylaws that exist now. We got rid of those. So neither of those 2 categories is non-voting. So it sounds like there will be no non-voting category.
No.
Correct. You could be an associate member falls under either single or family.
Sorry. Are we good? Or do I need to repeat again?
Just a quick comment, not a question. I would venture to say that the percentage of people who pay full dues is not any different here than it is anywhere else in the country. There are some very wealthy synagogues, but everybody is faced with 10% to 80%, 50% pay full dues, the others do not. So, and for whatever reason, I don't think that's a thing to hang your hat on is why we're in this situation, because everybody has that same situation. So I wouldn't put too much on that as being why we get down.
Well, I think that is possibly true.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is a
then
great
I-
question, but not right now. That's a great comment. Do we feel ready to make a motion? Let's do it.
I make the motion to vote on the bylaw.
Awesome. All right.
All in favor?
All in favor, please. Leave your hands up so they can count them. Sorry.
Microphone.
Wait, I make the motion.
Pass the bylaws.
I make the motion to pass the bylaws as submitted by this subcommittee. Is there a second?
Okay. All those in favor of the proposal?
What you did.
Oh. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. And sorry, who is up next? Okay.
So I missed a big part of what I'm supposed to do here. So I'm coming back up. Per our bylaws, the nominating committee is made up by 2 members at large, and this is where we ask for volunteers to be on the nominating committee for next year. So we have Cantor Shivers, Nathan Von Koltitz. I don't see, is that Vicky? Vicky Wilson? Okay, so Vicky can be as board. So I think we have 2. Thank you very much. Now I turn it back.
Oh, we're back to those pictures again. It's a good smile. So it is. Look at, I'm glad I didn't wear that dress tonight. That would have been embarrassing. It's a good thing I saw the slide deck before. We are going to pause from some of the bigger literal work in our meeting tonight, and instead turn to a moment of blessing. Pirkei Avot teaches us, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, velo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. You are not obligated to complete the task, but neither are you free to desist from it. That is never more true than in Jewish communal life, because we know that we are more than a building, a budget, a clergy. We are a gathering of people who hold one another. And to keep it moving, if you open your program and look in here, this is an incredible amount of names of people who have shown up time and again, whether they're here making sure that there is staff in our food pantry or for the durable medical equipment, whether they're working behind the computer screen, making sure that meal trains are set up and all that entails, Whether we're looking at technology, new member calls, there's so many different categories of people. And this is our moment to say thank you. Our volunteers are the people who show up when your schedules are already full, who share wisdom and leadership, patience and love. You've answered emails, moved chairs, made phone calls, served on committees, welcomed new faces, dreamed big dreams. You are Naaseh Venishma, realized in person. So my task is to bless our volunteers, which is, how many of you stood up when Marlene asked you to stand? It was the entirety, basically, of the room. I would put my hands on all of your heads, but let's be honest, no one wants that. But I'm spreading my blessings out to all of you. You can give yourselves a hug. I always do this with the littles. You could give yourselves a hug. Know that I'm sending this out with this blessing. May the Holy One bless you with the same generosity you have shown to others. May you know that your efforts matter, even when the results are not immediately visible. May you take pride in the seeds you've planted and the lives you've touched. And may we, Congregation Neve Shalom, continue to be blessed with people like you, people who understand that holiness is often created not through grand gestures, but through showing up for one another. As a thank you, and this meeting is adjourned, we have a dessert reception. I said when this meeting is adjourned, not this meeting as, I have no power to end this. But I did, thanks to some texting around, we do have a working microphone now. When this meeting is adjourned, we have a dessert reception, and as a token of our appreciation, Lisa Richmond, who coordinates all of the, like so many of our volunteers, and this has created a sweet gift, and to invite you to take your gift as well. And since I don't have the power to adjourn the meeting, I'll invite up the person who does, Mark Callencher. It's not on, but we can turn it on when we need it.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I get the enviable position of following Rabbi and also be between you and food. So there you go. Okay, so that I'm going to come to that picture. I'm going to come to it in a minute, but I did decide to put this picture up of me and the president of the synagogue in Belmonte, Portugal. Partially because the picture that usually gets used, just the one that's hung out there somewhere, makes me look like I'm trying to sell you a used car. So, which maybe I am, but that's beside the point. So what I would like to do is get to that eventually, but for now I kind of want to build on what we've been talking about this evening. Marissa, Marlene, they shared the details of the significant deficit, the tough choices that are outlined in our fiscal year 2026 and 27 budget. And we've reviewed the numbers, we've discussed the drivers such as the macroeconomic elements of inflation, et cetera, the demographic shifts that are causing enrollments to drop in the foundation school, and the painful reality of making difficult cuts that we have wrestled with. All of that has been talked about. The time for the comprehensive discussion about what is causing the problem, that to me it's over. And what we're doing now is a call for action. You know, our Jewish community locally and globally is really at an inflection point. And I don't know if you recognize it, it comes as a little bit of a surprise sometimes when you just kind of look at it and you think about it. But many of our institutions, many other institutions, and like many of those, we are facing a real strain on our resources. The membership dues and philanthropy, they're essentially flat to declining. And at the same time, we are establishing that necessary security baseline that was mentioned earlier. That is just the reality that we're facing. We are spending a lot more on security than I certainly ever would have imagined. And that is part of our new reality. We're addressing years of deferred maintenance. We had a wonderful campaign a few years ago, CNS 150, that was designed to address a lot of that, and it did. It did an incredible job. But we still have more. We have legacy buildings and infrastructure that will always, always require us to invest more. And that is a strain on our budget as well. We have a commitment. We have a commitment to provide accessibility to all who want to be members and be part of our community. And that, we are totally dedicated to that. But it means sometimes we don't get everything that we need in terms of the financial support to make that happen, to make that a reality. But we do want everyone who wants to be a part of our kahila to actually be able to do that. And our leadership has already taken many, many difficult actions, implementing restructuring, adjusting employee retirement contributions, things you've already heard about a little bit, timing and limiting the financial aid. Whether we want to or not, that is something we are faced with. And some of the trade-offs we make that we don't necessarily think about when we look at sort of the marginal cuts that we make on our budget, when we make those, I tend to think, if I make that cut, do I get to extend a little bit more to our congregants in need? That's the way I tend to think about it. And you know, if you've noticed, I have bags under my eyes. Well, I don't sleep that well. And that's one of the reasons, because we're always thinking about, we have painful cuts, and we make trade-offs, and those trade-offs are never, never easy. But they're necessary, and they affect all of us in many ways, and they're integral parts of the cuts and the things that we're doing. They're all parts of a three-track roadmap that I would describe this way. One, continuing short-term adjustments. Many of those will still be painful. Placing an intensive focus on major revenue improvements. It was mentioned that we need to build our endowment. That is something that, unfortunately, over the years has just not been done to the extent it needs to. And we need a real focus on that. We've started some work to get our Life and Legacy program back on track. As all of you, I think, have received some of the mailings on that and helped us do that, so we appreciate it. We're investing in long-term solutions to significantly reduce our ongoing costs. I think it was mentioned about an initiative that Josh is leading with Nathan von Kolditz and others to really bring us into the new world of sustainability and actually become a green institution. What a concept. And we will continue to develop and implement these strategies to achieve sustainability and we will provide regular updates. I will take responsibility. I don't think we have been transparent enough about what our finances are. Thank you for applauding that, I guess, but we will do better. So we will, I take that responsibility, and I think we all take that responsibility that we will make sure that we are able to tell you what we're doing. But this isn't a path that leadership, any of us in that position of leadership on the board and staff and clergy, we don't walk this alone. And as a sacred community rooted in the mutual care, we share that with the weight of this moment, all of us. Securing the future of Neve Shalom is a collective responsibility, and it will take a combination of generous donations and every member's willingness to commit their time and energy. In addition to the donations, we need your volunteerism. We need you to partner with us by increasing your giving to drive the revenue, but we also need to volunteer time and your talents to sustain the cherished programs and resources. That's essential. Well, this need for shared responsibility really hit me, and this is where I'm going to get to this photo here. It hit me with profound clarity after our recent trip to Belmonte, Portugal. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background on that. And so Jennifer and I spent 10 days with Rabbi Posen and our fellow congregants in touring Portugal. This is after we had spent, about the same amount of time in Spain. And one thing that strikes you when you're in the Iberian Peninsula is how few Jews are left in Spain and Portugal, how successful the expulsion was, really. So, it really hits home when Jews are there, when they survive, how tough it was to do that. So on this trip, we went from Portugal from Lisbon to Porto, and we visited many, many beautiful sites and fascinating places along the way. But it was during this tour of the synagogue here in Belmonte that I developed a greater appreciation of sacrifice and resilience, and we witnessed the deep desire of that small community to persist despite the odds and do what was necessary to survive. And eventually thrive, which they did as a Jewish community. These were new Christians. They were forced to convert, became crypto-Jews, and they did whatever minimalist sort of observances and traditions they could without their neighbors reporting them to the authorities. And they carried on this way for hundreds of years until 1989, when they organized into an Orthodox Jewish community with the help of outsiders with others, including Rabbi Stamper of blessed memory, whose contributions are on display in the Jewish Museum there in Belmonte. And then in 1996, they built this synagogue. And after we toured the synagogue and had a Q&A with the president, Stephen Kahn, who was also on this trip, he encouraged me to go back in and ask the question I always want answered, which is, how do you pay for this? How do you raise the money to sustain your congregation? And he answered, each member, all like us. And then he handed me, I'm going to show you this. He handed me this piece of paper, which has wiring instructions and his email. And he said, can you help? And I said, okay, I'll bring this back, and anybody who wants this information, I'll give this to you. But if you can figure out these wiring instructions, please do and tell me how to do it. Because, and every time I look it up about wiring instructions to places in Europe, they say, be careful, this could be a problem. So anyway, I'm looking into it, and when I find out, I'll let you know. If you find out, let me know. So as I said, I went in and I asked him that. He handed me that piece of paper and asked if I could help. And then further, with their very, very limited resources, they rely heavily on everyone doing their part. They rotate through everything. They're volunteers, there are 50 of them, so they have to rotate through to keep the congregation going. And in fact, he mentioned to me that each member rotates through the president position, and I thought that was a fantastic idea. So, sign up. You guys you get to do this too. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, so I was really moved by this community's extraordinary will to persist, to survive, and ultimately to thrive. And I firmly believe, with all my heart, that resilience is fundamental to Jewish life. It's a huge part of who we are as a Jewish community and as our Never Shalom Kehillah. And we are many times larger, many, many times larger than that tiny community in Belmonte, but the same will to continue for continuity and for community informs everything we do, everything. Every decision, every difficult decision, every element of our daily life is involved in that commitment. So I'd like to say that I really hope that we can move forward with clarity, intention, and a shared commitment to do all our part to create a sustainable and vibrant future for generations to come. So thank you. Now, I do have one other fun part before we get to the other fun part, which is going to be the open to let everybody express their views and the new business, which is I'm clearly not going to leave out. I can't end this meeting without that, and we will get to it. But the fun part I want to make sure I don't miss is the additional celebration of our volunteers. I mean, it was a wonderful blessing. You've heard a lot of great things about our volunteers, but I think it's important to actually give some statistics. Well, the first thing I want to do is acknowledge our outgoing chairs who've done a tremendous job. Sherry Cordova. Sherry is the founding chair of the Hesed Committee, and she has institutionalized comfort and care across our Kehillah, and that's just a fabulous accomplishment. Also want to acknowledge Cheryl Livna and I hope I pronounced that right, I do, a founding chair of Israel 360, who has brought deep and engaging and diverse educational programming to Neve Shalom. So please acknowledge you. Thank you. So the other thing I'm going to do quickly, because there's too many statistics here, it's too many, but I'm going to try to go through some of the highlights. The food pantry, this, which I think I told Barb even the other day, it was one of the highlights so far. My presidency was Barb and Jane and coming in and saying, we want to establish this food pantry, and giving the board the full, sort of the full information, the knowledge about that, and we approved it, and I'm absolutely thrilled that we did that. So, but I wanted to talk about in first quarter alone, 141 shoppers and 248 bags of food. The Hesed, another fabulous committee, over the past year, Hesed has provided almost 400 meals to 24 households, nearly 100 dedicated cooks. Avram's Closet, our medical lending closet, lent essential medical equipment to 70 people over a 2-month span. And, I absolutely could go on. Where we need help is in a lot of those same places. The food pantry can use volunteers. The meal train can use cooks. We talked about committees. We definitely need your help on committees. We need people to step up and volunteer their talents, their skills, and let us know you're interested. And I'm going to talk about how you do that in a minute. But that's also an area that we need your help. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I do have, and Lisa would kill me if I didn't bring this up. Okay, so the immediate action for you is during the reception, once I get out of here, get off the stage here, or whatever, we really need you to go out, and there's 2 large posters that Lisa's put up with QR codes. And what you're going to do there is you take a picture with your phone, and you'll get to the member interest survey. So that's how we find out what you want to do, what your skill sets are, and we can fill in those holes that we have. In closing on the volunteer piece here, thanks to everybody, every single person, the 500 or however many we have right now, who give their time and their hands, their heart to the congregation. So thank you very much. And with that, the volunteer recognition from here is over, and the dessert and everything will be afterwards. But now I'm going to open it for new business. Barb. And I think I have a mic. Do I have a mic? Thank you.
Yeah. Here, I'm bringing to you.
Oh, it's turned on.
It's on.
It's okay. You can use that.
I'm not happy. What I want to start with is almost time for Mariv. And that's what I usually do when I stand up here. I don't do this kind of thing. There might be a few of you, I don't know where, who I don't know. So let me tell you who I am. I'm Barb Schwartz. In February, I will be a member of this congregation for 50 years. I have been education director when the synagogue had a 3-day-a-week program. K through 12 was my responsibility. I've been a board member, co-chair of the Chesed committee with Sherry Cordova. So we started the food pantry. We started the meal train. We started the biggest, I'm sad to say, the biggest durable medical equipment exchange program in the city, which doesn't say a lot for our city. I'm here because I'm unhappy about the decision that the board made to zero out, to defund the library budget completely. There have been major changes made. There have been major reductions. Most of us know what they are, but it was only the library budget that got totally zeroed out. Mark said, we need more transparency. I'm not seeing it yet, and I keep hearing that things are going to change in the future. such as not allowing proxies for this meeting, not notifying the congregation of the Tuesday board meeting, which are both issues that are in the bylaws. So we do have some work to do. What is our situation financially? I don't know. Do you know? Okay. I have looked at the 25-26 budget and compared it to the 26-27 budget. I have looked at the financial report. It is not clear to me where we are financially, and it is based on where we are financially that is determining these changes that are happening in our congregation. The elimination of a major staff person, a reduction of a person in preschool, the reduction of retirement benefits that are more in keeping with nonprofits. I have heard that we are in dire circumstances financially. I have heard that we're not at the brink of the cliff, but we can see that cliff and we need to, pull back so we don't get to that cliff. I have heard that we are in an emergency situation, and that's a key word, which I'll get to later, I hope. And I've heard that we need to tighten our belts. I don't know where we are. I really don't. I can tell you this. I was on the staff as education director in 2003 when Esther Feldstein passed away. Her will was settled in 2004, and at that time, it was decided, and she left, this, she left $1 million to this synagogue. It was the biggest, and I think up till this time, because the financial records say we only have $2 million in our endowment, which is ridiculous, but that is one half of what we have in our endowment today, okay, that Esther Feldman gave us. Esther Feldstein, Esther Feldstein, I will take questions at the end, okay? I'm not coming through. So what should we, it also happens at services too, which is difficult.
We do need to have some limits on, because I'm sure there are others who have statements or have thoughts, and I would like to know is there something that you're...
Yes, there is something, I have a point I am going to make. Can you hear me now? Okay. Whoa, that's what I tell the kids, they're used to. The Feldstein money was $1 million. Last year we got $63,000. July 1, we'll get $64,050. When the endowment was set up, it was, the synagogue's funding was not in a great situation, and they wanted flexibility. Esther Feldstein always supported the library, not only when she passed away, but also way before. That's why it is called the Feldstein Library. She gave significant funds. Please don't tell me to stop. So what the leadership decided was we will put in writing that the funds would be used for operations. That was a written law, and that's what Garthy Brown wrote. Garth Brown, for those who don't know him or didn't know him, he's long gone. But there was an understanding that that current past presidents remember, and that I also personally remember, that the library was her passion. It was her love. And so there was an understanding that first, the library would be in line, and secondly, operations. So for instance, last year, the funding for the library came from the Feldstein funds. This year, that was zeroed out because there is a crisis, there is an emergency, we're near the brink, we have dire circumstances, and so it was zeroed out. That is not what the intention of the Feldstein funds was. I tell you that because I was there. There are people, there is leadership, past leadership, who also remember that as clearly as I do. I am, at this moment, ashamed of my congregation. I want to mention two things. I have two letters here from people. Two letters, not these two.
I'm afraid I can't let you read letters into this. You're going to make this meeting into a 4-hour meeting. You really, if you have a proposal on the table that you would like to consider, this is an annual meeting, a board meeting. It has some structure.
I have, would you like a proposal?
I do want you to make a proposal, yes.
Okay. I move that the CNS president be charged with convening a special meeting of the CNS board to take place before June 30th, 2026, to revisit the decision to defund the Feldstein Library to the 2026-27 budget year, for the 26-27 budget year. Congregants shall be notified at least 5 days in advance.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a second to that motion? There's a second. All in favor of that motion, and somebody else is going to have to count. Yeah, I don't have it. She'll have to read it. Please read the motion again.
The motion reads, I move that the CNS president be charged, not financially, with convening a special meeting of the CNS board to take place before June 30th, 2026. The reason for that is because that's the end of this fiscal year. To revisit the decision to defund the Feldstein Library for the 2026-27 budget year. Congregants shall be notified at least 5 days in advance.
Thank you for rereading that. We had a second already, I believe, to that motion, so now we can proceed to do we call the question on this before we? You've had no debate. What's that? You've had no debate. Yeah, there's no debate. So there's been no debate on this, so we need.
So what we can do, the next step will be.
Yeah, you can come up, governance team. We need governance. Lord knows we need governance. Okay.
All right, so we do not have a process in place for parameters and guidelines for public meetings like this and for time limits. So we're going to default, we had a conversation with my attorney, and we are going to default to the 3-minute rule. You will have 3 minutes to speak. We would like to take turns trading off a pro-con as we move forward in those conversations. You cannot come up to speak again unless everyone else has had an opportunity to speak.
Does it come up to speak or mic?
Whatever is most comfortable for bodies.
I also have a microphone that I can.
What's that? Now there's debate. Now there's debate. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to. I have 3 minutes, is that right? All right.
Timing?
All right. Got a timer. Wonderful. Good evening. I'm thrilled to see so many members of our Kahila here this evening, listening to so many great things that are happening here at Neve Shalom, as well as those things that are a little bit more concerning. And I really welcome the conversation that. Oh, wonderful. Yes. No. She's sorry. You're right. I should have started with an introduction. My name is Josh Warnick. I've been a member here for 13 years. I have 3 beautiful children and an incredible wife. My daughter's had her bat mitzvah here last fall, and I've got 2 more coming. I also serve as the chair of the Building Grounds Safety and Security Committee. In that role, and that's what I'd specifically like to speak to, we don't bring any money into this congregation, we spend it. We spend it on the utility bills. We spend it on repairing the roof. One specific anecdote was we found out that the Mogan David, the Star of David, above our courtyard here, was becoming unanchored. You might have remembered that there was some yellow tape for a period of about 2 weeks last year, where we had to spend money that we didn't know that we needed to spend. But if we're going to have Shabbat on the plaza, we don't want to have squashed congregants on the plaza. And I hope everyone appreciates that, that we acted with urgency on that matter. But I speak to this in that the decisions, the debates that lead to the decisions by the board are terribly difficult. They're very, very hard. The members of the board were here till nearly midnight on multiple occasions, talking about this very subject that we're going to continue to talk about. And I also was a volunteer in the library, working with the librarian, helping recatalog the library for the better part of more than a year. And I had worked in libraries as a student, as a graduate student, and have a deep passion for the library. And I will continue to support the library in whatever way I am asked to serve, just as I... Thank you. Just as I was asked to serve when my son was in foundation school, and it was pointed out to me that we didn't have a secure campus, so I volunteered on the Safety and Security Committee. And then in the same month of October 7th, 2023, I was asked to serve as the chair of the Safety and Security Committee, where I've spent the last nearly 3 years getting updates from the Secure Communities Network that gets passed down from the FBI about the threats being made against our community and communities just like ours across this country. It is very hard times that we live in, where very big and hard decisions have to be made. And when we talk about this campus, when we talk about our safety, when we talk about this community, it is with love for who we are as a people. And I'm getting to the... I appreciate the enforcement of rules. I will step away now.
That's a great idea. Can we get people to line up who are interested in making comments so that we can keep things rolling? Thank you.
Okay. I'm Martha Deckard. I've been a member here since 1983. Is that better? Okay, I'm Martha Deckard. I've been a member of Neve Shalom since 1983. I'm a retired school librarian and past president of the Oregon Association of School Libraries. When I retired, I began a 10-year stint as chair of the library committee here. During that time, we updated and modernized the Feldstein Library. We reorganized the library physically, updated the library cataloging system, brought the catalog online with the current system. The board at that time supported our efforts with the purchase of new computer equipment, including a dedicated server. Unfortunately, during COVID, our server was hit with a ransomware attack, but the catalog has since been recreated through the efforts of new volunteers and is now housed on the Follett software server, where it's protected with enhanced security. Rabbi Stampfer of blessed memory was a huge supporter of our library. He liked to remind us that we are the people of the book. When he died, his children donated a large portion of his personal library to the Feldstein Library. We also house the collection that was once the library of the Oregon Holocaust Education Center. Libraries are more than rooms filled with books. They are safe spaces where patrons can read, study, and relax. When staffed by a trained librarian, they provide programming, such as story times and book groups. Our current librarian provides support for the educators who work in our building, helping them to choose books that support and enhance the curriculum and working with students of all ages to help them succeed in their studies. Our clergy and professional staff also benefit from the presence of a trained professional librarian who knows our collection and can point them toward the resources we have available to them. When you eliminate the paid position of librarian, you are destroying the library we have created. You may think that it continue with volunteers, keeping it open, but you will lose all of the benefits we now enjoy. You will lose the expertise needed to choose appropriate materials. You'll lose the expertise needed to connect our yearly calendar to appropriate books. You'll lose the expertise to support our educators and students. You will lose story times and book clubs. You'll lose the expertise to add books and other materials to our online catalog. These things are not nothing. For years, we at Congregation Neve Shalom have proudly stated that we have the largest Judaica library in the Pacific Northwest. When you take away the paid librarian, you destroy that proud history and resource. That's it.
We're going to trade off on points. Are there any pros that were up here before we or wait, for cons?
Pros, I think you're, then we'll go back to, we're all doing
Whichever.
People who are against the motion are going to speak now?
Yeah.
Well, we've won the big round back.
I mostly just want to correct some information that Barb said. First of all, we didn't fully defund the library budget. There's still $5,000 a year that we have left in the budget. It is not zero. The zero for expense, or for revenue, sorry. Yeah, just let me speak, please. Thanks. There's still some money in the budget that we left specifically for buying books for Foundation School Aliyah, who use the library all the time. Also, we have $4.7 million in endowment. $1.5 million of that, I believe, is for the cemetery, and I apologize, I got that wrong earlier. Oh, sorry, 1.5 is our actual endowment, so I apologize that I got that wrong earlier. It's not $2 million, as Barb said. And, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone was tracking the correct information. Thank you.
My name is Mark Sherman. I'm a congregant, and I'm one of the people on the volunteer list in a few different areas. I want to speak directly to the motion, which is to convene a special meeting of the board and to give congregants ample opportunity to participate. I think that's all we're talking about. People who want to speak in favor of the library or against the library can do so at that time. But I want people in this room to know that a good faith effort has been made by a number of congregants, and it's a kind of spreading and growing process because we've only had 2.5 weeks or so. We've already raised more than half of the funds that are needed to restore the funding as a stopgap. Many of the people in the room have contributed. The meeting of the board took us a little by surprise because I had a meeting with Marlene and with Mark Kallencher, and we thought we had an understanding. All I asked was that the synagogue accept these gifts with the understanding that the question of the library would be reopened in an open-minded way, not to drive toward a predetermined conclusion, but to revisit the question of the library. And that's all we said. And I left that meeting with a strong impression that it was a go. It was a yes. I was elated. The board, was not aware that there was a subsequent board meeting to which I was not invited, nor other people representing this group of congregants, and then additional conditions were set that did not have to do with budget. They had to do with cash flow, which apparently is not a problem. Cash flow, not a problem. And yet these conditions were placed on the donors based on cash flow that made it extremely difficult to fulfill our intentions. And furthermore, the understanding that the library question would be reopened in an open-minded way seems, I'm not clear, and I want to ask Marlene. Marlene, where are you?
1 minute left.
Marlene, can you say to the congregational meeting that you will allow an open-ended conversation about the future of the library to go forward without predetermining that the library position will be phased out?
It's not my decision. I respond to the board of directors who makes those kinds of decisions, and I am happy to execute the community's will based on what the board discusses. That is not my job,
Well-
Mark. I would gladly tell you. I would gladly tell you, because I too believe in a library, and I believe that we have one, and I believe that it can be sustained with or without a professional librarian. But this is not my personal decision. This is not the Marlene Edenson show. This is the
Okay,
board of directors.
well, we're on record as saying
I
that we will replace the funding for 1 year with pledges, and those pledges can be guaranteed with pledges as long as there is an open-ended conversation about the future of the library, as opposed to a predetermined outcome. Thank you.
So I want to clarify a couple of things that Mark just said. Generally, it's accurate. We met on Thursday last week with that proposal, and it was agreed to in principle. And I will take some, let's say, I got over my skis a little bit in terms of saying, yeah, I like this idea. I did like the idea. But I also am just one member of the board, and I'm actually a non-voting member of the board. And it is my responsibility to bring those kinds of proposals to the board. And sometimes we have emergency meetings, which is what we did that Tuesday, to discuss this, because not everybody believed that was the best way forward. I helped write the motion, and there were amendments made to the motion. But the main thing I really want to cover here is that this is an excellent way for this group of committed volunteer supporters to show their financial support. And the pledges, while wonderful, don't pay the bills. And we have to make commitments. We have to make commitments to the librarian that they will get paid, and they will get paid on time. And so that is why it was moved to, we need to fund this.
It's a cash flow issue, not a budget issue.
I prefer that you don't interrupt while I'm trying to make my points. I did not interrupt you. What I would like to say is that cash flow is really it's not a real argument. We make our decisions about what to spend from our cash, just like you do. You make it based on your budget, on your priorities, not based on the cash that's sitting in your bank account. So that is what we are doing. But I also want to say, I believe this group can come up with the money, with the cash, to make this, to continue this effort in an absolute good faith conversation about the future of the library, which has to deal with the financial sustainability as well as what really works for this congregation in the long term. So, and I will add one other thing. I signed up for that. I said to Mark that I will be one of the contributors. And I said I will give my money up front. And I said if that concept is proven, I will give more. I support this effort. I want it to succeed, but I want it to succeed within the parameters of our finances and our budget. So do I still have time? I still have time. So I will filibuster a little bit more. I believe this group can get this done. I'm an optimist. I'm positive. I know this can happen. I don't think we should be concerned about whether we had verbal understanding of or statements that were misunderstood or that I miscommunicated, a reality perhaps. But I think we can do this. So let's sign up and do it. We can get that content to what we try to do is get it by June 30th so that we have that guaranteed funds. And when we have that, then we will begin our full discussion, our robust discussion of what the future is. That's my time. I'm done.
So it sounds to me like, oh, sorry, I'm Lisa Newman Eckstein, and I've been here for 25 years, for about 25 years. Okay. So I think I am very much in favor of Barb's motion. I think it is important that we have this discussion. I am a library supporter. We are also giving to the fund. But I think it's important that we have this discussion before July 9th. The board has known about the controversy about the library since at least April, because I wrote a letter in April when I found out that Leora was being let go, and I said what a jewel she is, how important the library program is to the foundation school, how important it is to the life of our community. And what happened from my perspective is the budget was approved, and Leora, of course, was terminated as of June 30th. And the annual meeting went ahead, and this meeting to discuss the library has been scheduled for July 9th, after Leora has been terminated. I think that's a huge mistake. I think that we need to have transparency and discuss the financial issues together and then help the board make its decision. I think that's what's been missing. The board has talked about transparency. There hasn't been a whole lot, and I'm not blaming this board in particular. My reading of what's gone on, because we've come to the congregational meetings for a number of years, there was no mention of deficit last year. There was maybe a mention of a little bit of missing money, but nothing like this. And so I'm wondering, is this $250,000 approximately carryover from last year that we've been carrying a problem for many years and now the board's dealing with it or not? Well, if it's not, I want that explained to me, right? Well, I don't get it, okay? Whatever. But I think that just highlights why it's so important that we meet together in a timely way to discuss issues for transparency. It shouldn't all be coming out tonight. It shouldn't be coming out in documents that are sent to us that are very hard to read. And then we get a sort of summary description. I'm not blaming you for that. We have limited time. But let's go ahead and have this discussion before June 30th and figure out how we can preserve our library one way or another. There's no harm in that, and there may be great benefit to our community. Thank you.
So I'm Liza Milliner, and I've been a congregant here, I don't know, probably 40 years or so, maybe a little bit less. I have been attending the Finance Committee, and this is where we deal with a lot of these issues. I, as a past president, agree that in this annual meeting, we get a summary of the finances. We go into a lot more detail of the finances in the Finance Committee. It's disheartening here that there's so many ambiguity of where our financial status is when the Finance Committee is open to everybody, and we would encourage a lot more participation. Finding out at this point the passion one way or the other is long in the game. I can tell you that the board of directors spent hours discussing this decision. That was not made easily, but it was a decision that was made, It was a decision that the Finance Committee wrestled with. It's a decision that a task force for sustainability was set up over the last year and a half to, again, look at opportunities to continue to sustain Neve Shalom. And I think, as Rabbi Posen said when she spoke, we're in this together. We're not fighting against each other. We are really in this together. And I believe there's a meeting that's already been set up for July 9th, I think, to have this conversation to how do we work through this together. And it feels like an us versus them conversation we're having right now. And that's really disheartening, because the board is never sitting there saying, how could we hurt somebody? This isn't about hurting anybody. We all wrestled with cuts to all of our staff. We wrestled with cuts to a librarian. We've wrestled with these hard decisions that have had to be made. And we're all volunteers. We're not getting some kind of major bonus by saving any part of the budget line. And so I'd really hope that we come up here and we talk about how do we work on this together and not feel like there is finger pointing. And please get involved in the Finance Committee, get involved in the Development Committee, help us fix this problem, continuing to move forward. Volunteer at the library. There is still funding for books. There's funding for the software to keep that going. Thank you.
My name's Mylan Shanker. I've been a member of the synagogue since '82, and I've actually been affiliated with the synagogue back to when Neve Zedek was on 6th Street visiting my grandmother, Zichron Levracha. So I won't tell you how many years that is, but it's been a long time. I think there's a lot of ambiguity, and what I haven't heard from the board is a commitment to support the library function. You know, again, I'm talking about how we actually maintain that library. And I haven't heard that. And I think if the board would come forth and say, you know, even though we don't have this one position, we're not able to fund it, we are committed to the library function. And I haven't heard that, and maybe I've missed it. But I think the board needs to make that commitment. And hopefully with this meeting that we're scheduled to have on July 9th, we can come up with a plan. And that's another thing I've expressed before, that we need to come up with a plan how we're going to maintain that library. So hopefully the board, and maybe they do have that plan. I think that's what's important, is not really whether we fund one position or not. I mean, there's volunteers that perhaps we can implement, but we need that commitment from the board saying we are going to maintain the library function. Thank you.
We are going to maintain the library function. The board has committed to that.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Callinger, and we've been members since '89. And to be honest, I feel like there are pros and cons, and it's really disheartening to be a community member and feel this animosity. So you're my friends, you're all my friends, and it's disheartening. I hope we can repair relationships and keep community going. I guess my big question about the meeting that is on the table is what gets changed? I don't understand. You can have a meeting in the next 10 days, but I'm just not sure there's a budget that's out there. I don't understand what the proposal is that makes it different. And it sounds like the proposal is we have a meeting and you'll all come to your senses and you'll change the budget. And I just don't get it. And I'm disappointed that we can't come together as a community and make it work. We've committed to this. We're committing money to make it happen. I encourage all of you to commit the money to make it happen. Let's make this community stronger. So that's.
I'm Jonathan Levy. I'm a 30-year member of the congregation. I'd like to make two separate points. First, I want to assure the members of the board that, at least on my behalf, and I think the others, that nobody is questioning your integrity or good faith. We just have a different view of, or people have a different view on this issue. I came to this meeting expecting to settle reluctantly for the defunding of the library because of the financial pain that the synagogue is going through. But Barbara's comment made me support the pending motion. And the reason is, I think there's a bigger issue, which is if we ignore the intentions of past donors, whether formalized in writing or not, but if they are clearly understood, and I'm saying that as an if, because I wasn't present at creation, but Barb was, but if we ignore that, I think that potentially jeopardizes future donations of restricted gifts if potential donors realize that the use of the money could be changed that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Hi, many of you don't know me. My name's Elizabeth Kalura, and one of the themes that's come up a lot tonight is volunteering. So my family moved here 2 years ago, not in the 80s, not in the founding of the congregation. We moved here, we became enamored with this synagogue, and we started dedicating our time. I'm already on the board. I'm on the executive committee. I spent all day running a law office, didn't see my kids, and came here to be with you for hours and hours tonight because I am dedicating my time. We received many letters from concerned people about the library. And I read, and I know the rest of the board, read every single letter. And before that meeting, I think it was either beginning of May or end of April, I sat down with those letters and I prepared comments because I said, you know what, we're gonna have a long meeting tonight. We're gonna discuss this library. I'm preparing comments. I got them together. Not a single person showed up at our meeting to discuss this issue. I gave my comments, the standard board meeting, the regularly advertised board meeting that we received the letters right before. I was prepared to discuss all of this with you. Nobody, no member of the congregation showed up to our board meeting. I gave my comments to the board only because these are and I am talking about the regularly scheduled board meeting that is advertised in the bulletin and in the email blasts. We have had many discussions over this budget. The Financial Committee, if you want to be a member of the Financial Committee, we would love to have you on there. You are welcome to come and participate. If you want to be a member of the Financial Task Force, you are welcome to come and participate. If you want to go line by line through the budget, Marissa's going to sit down with you. I'll sit down. Any of us will sit down with you. Marlene will sit down with you. You have had every opportunity to talk with us, and we've been here and we've been waiting, but you're coming in afterwards. We've been doing the work. I know you're not happy with, none of us are happy with this outcome. Josh has been volunteering in the library. Steve Kahn has been we've got board members who are library volunteers. The library is very important to all of us. And this isn't a decision that any of us want to make.
but we've been working on it, we've been spending our time, we've been spending our money and our energy. And so this is not something that is made lightly. And so I would encourage you, if you don't like this decision, if you don't like other decisions, please start showing up now. Please start volunteering now. Please start participating and being part of the decision as it goes forward, rather than coming in afterwards.
I think we are all in this together. I think people do have different ideas about how a library can function. I believe that a professional librarian is needed, as a professional librarian has been working at the Feldstein Library since at least the 1960s. If you read through the history that Leora presented in her newsletter, which not everyone in the congregation gets for some reason that I don't really understand, but I'm sure it has some history. It's true, I have not gone to board meetings. I had no idea that the board was going to be discussing the library. Had I been told that that was going to be on the agenda, I would have gone to that meeting. This is the first time in a congregational meeting, and I haven't been to that many, but I've been to several, that I've been invited as a congregant so urgently to come and join and sit in on the board meetings. Maybe we all should go to board meetings. I certainly am going to put it on my agenda at this point. I have a long, long history at Neve Shalom. I've had many children bat mitzvahed here. I've been a volunteer. I give divrei Torah very often, maybe too often. But I have been totally dedicated to Neve Shalom, not in terms of being a big donor of dollars, because I was a humanities major and a college professor. I don't have a lot of dollars. But I live a third of a mile away from Neve Shalom because we bought that house so that we could walk to shul. And that's where I have lived for the past 40 years, and that's where I've been coming to shul for the past 40 years and bringing my children. And I am really so distraught by what has happened. I got involved in this issue because I saw the decision to defund the library as something that was going to be tremendously upsetting to a lot of long-term Neve Shalom members, as well as people I don't know at all who are parents of preschoolers who have benefited from Leora's special expertise in dealing with library and literacy for preschoolers. I'm not making a special case for Leora. I'm making a special case for a librarian who has professional expertise to guide the volunteers. That catalog didn't get put together only by volunteers. It got put together because we had a professional librarian who knew what she was doing. And I know that the United States is anti-intellectual, and I know that the United States is anti-expertise, but we really need expertise.
You gonna call the question?
I want to address process.
Okay.
Do you want someone else to time you?
Elizabeth's going to time me. She's been timing everybody. Elizabeth has been timing. So a couple things. One of the people challenged me about Robert's Rules of Order recently. We have gone so wildly away from the motion on the table. I encourage people, especially those that are coming up for a second time, to stay focused on that. I'm also going to talk about process because, as I've established, I think it's sexy. And I want to talk about how the board got to where they are. I have the advantage of being a volunteer and having been a staff member here. One of the things I learned as a staff member is I could send out 7 emails and carrier pigeons, and people would tell me they never heard about the program, they never heard about the meeting. I'm sure the professional staff will tell you the same thing. They're at a loss sometimes on how to get people to read the material and understand what is happening. I understand we need to do a better job of communicating, but there is accountability on the congregation side to read the material that is presented. All of our meetings are open except for our executive sessions. They're all open. Please come. I want you to come. I want to have members there. I also want to talk about the process to where we got to. At the Finance Committee joint meeting last year, the question of the librarian position came up. And the challenge was created on the Finance Committee to build a sustainability task force. It was staffed by our ED, we had our finance director on it, we had past board presidents on it, we had experienced congregants on it. My husband was on it. He was a co-chair of the long-range plan. He spent a deep amount of time entrenched in our conversations. And this task force made multiple recommendations. One of the recommendations was removing the librarian position. That's all. We didn't defund the library. The recommendation then moves on to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee discussed it twice in open meetings. It's in the meeting minutes, which was not attended by anyone else from the congregation. And then it came forward to the board. And the board, we talked about it for 45 minutes, an hour, on just this topic. We read all your emails. I got emails. I got text messages. I got phone calls. I had this conversation on Instagram. I had touch points everywhere. There wasn't a single one of us who went into that meeting not knowing how important and how vital the library, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to call. What's that?
Who called the question?
Yeah, who called the question? Is it Jeff Axel? Thank you. Okay, so that now we can go to a vote, correct? Yes. All right, so all in favor of.
I just have a question. Some of us have proxies that were allowed 8.5 hours ago.
Yes.
8.5 prior to 7 o'clock.
Yes.
How do we present our proxies?
If there's a question of the vote in the room, we'll move to proxies.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to vote in the room and then we go to proxies, okay? So all in favor of the motion as. Yes, come and read it.
I promise only to read it.
No, I know.
With great control, I will only read the motion. I move that the CNS president be charged with convening a special meeting of the CNS board to take place before June 30th, 2026, to revisit the decision to defund the Feldstein Library for the 2026-2027 budget year. Congregants shall be notified at least 5 days in advance.
You've heard the motion. I think we can take a vote. All in favor of the motion as Barb just read it, please. And someone needs to do the count. Do we still have a quorum? I think we do. We started with a quorum, so now we continue. So count, please. Let me know when the vote is counted, please. Is that all counted? Down. How about the middle? Someone let me know when the counting's done. tell it's getting late. It's taking a long time to count. Not that many hands. Okay. All right. So okay. Do we have the count for the pro? Do we have it? All right. Okay. I think we have the count for the pro. Correct? Marlene, do we have the count for the pro? And do we have the number? And then I'm going to ask for the cons and the abstention. Okay? Okay. 20. Okay. Okay. All opposed, please raise your hand. I think it's being done by Abacus. Yeah. Right. Anybody got the number? I need the numbers, and then I'm going to. Can we get the no? Raise your no hand and keep it up. Thank you. Okay. Did you already get these? Did you already get these? Okay. Okay. I think everybody, no hand down. And then abstentions. Anybody abstaining? That's not. Clear clarification? Yes, yes. I, okay, yes. So that is the, yes, thank you for that. All right, so there were like 4 or 5 abstentions. So what are the numbers? I need to know what. So a motion passes, correct? 38. 38 in favor, 27 opposed, 4 abstentions. I don't think do we need to go to, do you want to do the proxy vote? No, we're trying to figure it out. Do you have, are we getting the proxies and counting them? Is that what we're doing? Are there proxies that we didn't count?
So we would need 2/3 for it to pass from a motion on the floor.
It does?
Yeah. So
Okay.
this one, so here's the thing. This one isn't governed by our bylaws. We're going out to Robert's rules for this, and this is great.
I would say the motion passes.
If you want to, you can make the call.
I will make the call.
You can make the call.
The motion's going to pass because it's, we're overwhelmed. Unless you have the proxies that counter that. But most of the proxies came from the pro.
No, they didn't.
No,
None of them.
we've been working.
All of them came from, there's only one proxy.
Okay, so what's the count?
38 to 27 and 4 is not 50% plus
With the
one.
with the proxies. That's what I'm asking.
And we can finish, we may have, we count, and then do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you could say just because the vote didn't come to it.
Okay.
Those who have a proxy, we know, and we're going to have something.
I need you guys to check in for just a sec. So we didn't reach the 2/3 threshold to pass this. It needs a 2/3 threshold. This is not something, here's the thing, this is not covered, annual meetings are a gray area. There's no clear, I've done a lot of research and spent a lot of time on the phone today for this. Okay, hold on.
But
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, because it's a gray area, have made the decision that it's a majority will pass. So if it passes by 50% plus, yes.
That's your decision.
That's my decision.
15% plus one.
50%. 50% plus one. So what Lindsay said is a rule that applies in some meetings, but this is a gray area, and I'm making the decision as the board chair that 50% plus one will allow passage of the motion.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, so with that, there are some proxies, I believe, that have not been counted, but
That's correct.
so how do we handle that?
Okay,
You
so
can tell me.
everyone who's been given a proxy, will you please come up and get an,
Clarification, how can there be proxies on a motion that the proxy voters didn't hear?
Because we asked for it earlier today, and I was told I was not going to be given it.
What did the proxy voters vote on?
Wait, I think the question is, do they just give you their power, or
yes,
They
they give you their power.
Yes. So who are they giving the power to?
So they've given, so we have,
Who has the proxy?
we have all of the proxies.
Okay,
And I
Let's count.
I have to, everyone who's been given a proxy, I need to be able to have them come up and get their vote.
Everyone who has been given a proxy, please come to the front to collect the vote. And
Proxy, please come up.
how many do you need?
Just pro or con on the back, yea or nay, because this was for a vote that has been already part of a thing.
I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to make a commit, because everybody wants dessert, including me. Can I have your attention, please? We're going to ignore the proxies. We're going to go ahead and grant the meeting, because the count could be very close. It could be off by one. This is a very cumbersome process. It's going on 10. Rabbi said she's okay. We're going to have the meeting, okay? The motion will pass without the proxies. We're making the decision. I'm making the decision, and the board will agree. We will hold the meeting. So the motion passes. And it will be done within the next week, prior to June 30th. So, yes, go ahead. No. So I'm sorry, but I have to end this meeting. Sorry. And you got your motion passed. So I think that's good. The motion passed. So with that, go have dessert, please. This meeting is adjourned. That was my motion. Well, let's just make it up. This is way too.
Thank you, Mark. And I want to make sure, no disrespect to you.
Oh, I get it. Look, disagreement is fine. I have no problem with it. Yeah.
I think we can have some clarification on the terms.
Yeah.